Hello again, everybody. Just a reminder, my name is Val Alston from the art contractor at the R2 Performance Center here at Fort Bragg. And I've got a question for you. Do you want to be happier, live longer, get sick less often, heal faster, be seen as a better leader, have stronger relationships, maybe perform better under pressure, and to be just more successful, maybe in school or at work? If I told you that you could get all of those things by simply doing one thing, would you believe me? Here's the thing. It's true. You can absolutely get all of these benefits by doing one simple thing. And that thing is to be a more optimistic thinker. So here's the thing. Optimism gets a bad rap because a lot of people confuse optimism with positivity. And yes, there is some overlap, but it's not always the best thing in the world to just be positive, just be positive, just be positive. You keep hearing that advice all over and over and over. Well, there's a difference between being optimistic and just being positive. And the good news is that being optimistic in your thinking has a ton of research behind it that says if you're able to do this, if you're able to truly be optimistic in your thinking, you get those benefits that I just described at the beginning. So here's the thing. Here's what optimism really is, and how it sometimes is a little bit different than positivity, is that it's really the true definition of optimism. It's wed to reality. And what I mean by that is true optimism is able to recognize when a situation is crummy. You see it as crummy. You don't pretend that it's okay. You're able to hunt for what's good in that situation. You recognize that it's not ideal, but there's maybe a silver lining. True optimism is really being able to fight what we call the negativity bias. So the negativity bias is this natural process that we have. It's ingrained in every human being's hardwiring. It's in your brain. And the negativity bias is our just natural tendency to notice and remember negative things in our environment. Now, this is a good thing. We want the negativity bias because it keeps us safe. If you were to walk out your front door right now and you had over to your left a couple of kids playing, having a good time, laughter, cheerfulness, all of that, and then you look to your right and there was an all-out fist fight brawl happening, which one would you pay attention to? Yeah. Negativity bias would say pay attention to the fight. That has a potential to spill on over to you. It's unsafe, right? So it's a good thing to pay attention to those things. It's a good thing to keep us safe. The problem with our current brains is that the negativity bias evolved for a different purpose, really truly to keep us safe. But with the modern society that we have and the 24-hour access to information, it gets overused, and it gets used in situations where it's not really appropriate. So the goal of really being optimistic is fighting that negativity bias and recognizing that it doesn't need to be turned on all the time. So we don't want to get rid of it. We just want to balance it with some good stuff and recognizing that there is also good things in the world. So I'd encourage you to think about how is that impacting you during this COVID-19 situation while you're stuck at home or quarantined. There's a lot of uncertainty. So thinking about how can you fight that negativity bias by maybe practicing some hunting of the good stuff. The other thing that's really important that differentiates true optimism from just being positive is this idea that you focus on what you can control. You recognize when something is, not a good situation, but instead of dwelling on that negative situation, you focus on where you have control. And you focus on putting your energy and your efforts to, even if it's small, just placing your energy towards those things you can control. That helps you to maintain hope, which is a big part of being optimistic. You're hoping for the best. You recognize bad things could happen, but you still are hopeful that good things can and will happen. And the other piece of optimism, how it's a little bit different, is it comes from the sense of confidence that you have a belief in yourself or your team or your community, that you have the skills you need to overcome whatever this situation is. And maybe if you don't individually have the skills or the resources you need, you're aware of skills and resources of others that could help you with the situation that you're feeling or dealing with. So real optimism leads to some very specific benefits that we talked about in that opening question. And it does it because the style of your thinking leads to different behaviors than if you were being pessimistic. Behaviors like focusing on solutions instead of dwelling on the problem, or practicing acceptance when you know that something can't be changed. The other behavior that it leads to is you're more accurate about the kind of control that you have. You also tend to take better care of yourself when you are an optimistic thinker, because you have this hope that it's going to get better. You focus on what you can control. So imagine that if you do get sick, right, the reason it leads to better health, you recover from injury, recover from illness more quickly, is because you actually engage in the behaviors that you would need to recover. For instance, sleeping, eating healthy foods, getting your rest. Whereas if you are more of a pessimistic thinker, you might be thinking, oh well, might as well go down in a blaze of glory. So you just keep doing the behaviors that are going to continue to lead to your sickness or your health, poor health, or whatever that is. So we really want to make sure that you can change your thinking to being more optimistic, being wed to reality, hunting for what's good, fighting that negativity bias, but remaining realistic, maintaining hope and focusing on what you can control, and that'll help you get some of those benefits. Okay? So what I want to ask of you all is in the comment section, moving forward, is to not just worry about being positive in this time, is really focus on being optimistic. And share ways that you're doing that. How are you fighting that negativity bias? How are you hunting for what's good? How are you focusing on what you can control and maintaining that hope that even if you're in a crummy situation right now, it can get better? Please share your ideas, and we look forward to hearing from you. Bye.